Have you ever wondered why studying Japanese feels so difficult? Even though you're learning it every single day, but nothing sticks to your head and you feel so lost? I've been there. I know that. I know that feeling, and I'm still there. I almost quit 3 times before passing my JLPT entry, to be honest. And I always wondered why it feels so difficult to learn Japanese, why nothing is actually getting into my head, and am I abnormal or am I losing my ability to memorize things? I did a small research. I actually did a small research of searching like why studying Japanese is so difficult. If you do feel the same like me as in why Japanese is so difficult, the answer is that you are not abnormal, you are normal, I'm normal. The language itself is difficult. It is so difficult, as in it is ranking the third in the most difficult languages to learn in the world. Yeah, it is the most difficult language to learn. So I'm going to give you the results of my research, not like a actual scientific research, but like a small research on why actually studying Japanese feels difficult. So let's get started. I'm going to see my laptop once in a while so that I'm not making any wrong statements. The first reason is that the writing system is a triple challenge. We have Hiragana, we have Katakana, and we have Kanji. As someone who is pursuing Japanese as a second language or a third or fourth language, the cognitive load is so much because we are juggling between multiple symbol systems, right? So there is actually so much of cognitive load in getting those words sticking to our head. So the hiragana and katakana is the phonetic characters where you have to memorize around 92 characters, but according to me, these are the easiest part of Japanese. Like the hiragana and katakana are the easiest part, but the third writing system, the kanji, is where things get more intense. There are thousands of characters, multiple readings, onyomi, kunyomi, and the reading itself becomes different when it comes in different combinations. Like I really appreciate the person who created kanjis. I can't even imagine their level of intelligence. Like it's so deep. And I read in an article where they say studies on the orthographic depth shows that the language with complex writing systems take longer time to reach the reading fluency. And Japanese is one of the most complex. So this makes sense, right? Because to go into a level of reading fluency of Japanese, we have to know the different kanji combinations and the different onyomi konyomi being used. So it's getting so complex. The second reason is the grammar is exactly opposite to the English. So as someone who is learning Japanese through English, you have to know that in English we use the subject, verb, and object, right? But in Japanese we use subject, object, verb. So we are like flipping things. As an English speaker, if you are an English speaker, for me English is a second language, but if you are an English speaker, you must be used to the way where you hear the verb being spoken first. Let's say I'm going to da da da, or I'm going to park. So I am subject, going, verb, park, or a place or a noun, right? So you're used to learn hear the verb coming first, but in Japanese it becomes exact opposite, right? Watashi wa ie ni ikimasu. I am, it literally translates to I am house going. I'm going to house, like I am house going. Watashi wa ie ni ikimasu. So we are flipping the way in which we used to hear the phrase being spoken. So that creates a little bit of confusion in our head, which we have to get used to. in the article, I read that the psycholinguistic research shows that the language with verb final structures create a higher processing demand for beginners. So you're basically rewiring your mental sentence building systems, and you have to adopt to the newer sentence building systems for learning Japanese. Third reason is that the politeness levels add layers of complexity. So if you already started learning Japanese, you may know that Japanese don't say just one way. Like they have several ways of saying the same word. They have the casual way of saying, they have the polite way of saying, they have the humble way of saying, they have the honorific way of saying, which is the sonkeigo and kenjogo ways. So it gets little bit difficult to actually memorize everything, and the research on the sociolinguistics shows that the politeness system causes anxiety in learners because you must constantly think about the hierarchy, the relationships and the context, and where to use, when to use, how to use, which word to use, which sonkeigo to use, which kenjogo to use, like so many things. And unlike English, using the wrong word, like wrong level of politeness, may sound rude to a native person, which is a problem, right? Which is a problem. Like you just can't go and say a casual phrase to your professor. You have to use a honorific phrase to the person who are above you, like a professor or your manager or someone. So this gives a overload of words that we have to remember. Same word but different ways of saying it. The next reason is that the vocabulary does not relate to English. So English have many loan words from Latin, French, or even from your native language. English has many like words got borrowed from other languages, right? But Japanese don't have such things. Like Japanese is purely mainly focused on native Japanese and the Chinese loan words and some Western loan words which they call as the Gai Raiko. And in the research, they say that the linguistic distance between the English and Japanese is one of the longest record by the Japanese Research Institute. What this means? It means that you can never guess a Japanese word by looking at it or hearing by it. You can never guess. Every word will be new to you. If you are an English speaker, every word will be new to you. You can never guess a Japanese word. But I've heard that my Chinese friends, they can guess the kanji, and it's a very big advantage for Chinese speakers or Chinese natives to learn Japanese because they cover the bigger part, right? The kanji writing system. They have some idea about that, so they can actually guess what's written in Japanese in kanji, which gives them an advantage while they are learning Japanese, right? But as an English speaker or any other natives, you can never guess a kanji. Like to be honest, I never knew that something like kanji existed for a majority of my life. Like for 10 years I never knew that some a writing system like kanji existed, like drawings and like symbols, like that's very complex, right? I never knew. But so people like us, it's very difficult to actually memorize and process these things. The next reason is the lack of immersion. Honestly, if you want to pass Japanese, like especially when you want to pass like higher levels, N2 or N1, you literally have to immerse yourself in the language. Like you have to immerse yourself, or you're not going to stick those words to your head, you're not going to remember those words. And multiple studies show that consistent low pressure immersion is the strongest predicator of proficiency, not the grammar drills. Which means that if you're not surrounded by the language, your brain can't form the strong listening and speaking networks. So most learners study Japanese by textbooks or apps, or we take some classes, right? we study it for a short period of time, like 2 hours a day or 1 hour a day, and after that we are not actually learning Japanese. Like we are conversing in our native language and not actually focusing on Japanese. So what happens here is that we are breaking that network. We are not in immersion, right? But if you really want to become a native level fluent person, you have to constantly make a decision of listening to Japanese things, listening to podcasts in Japanese, which is very difficult. Even I find it very difficult to immerse myself in Japanese, even though I'm in Japan. I I recently developed a selective hearing. Like I'm not actually picking up the Japanese words. I'm picking up only the English words, which is very bad. I have to pick up the Japanese words in order to learn Japanese. I have to develop that skill. But I'm telling you, like you have to immerse yourself and put you in situations where you're surrounded by the Japanese words so that you'll get used to it. Your system gets used to the language. So these are the reasons that I found. There are some more reasons in the research, but I think I can relate with these reasons. So we have come to an end. And if you ever wondered why Japanese feels so difficult to learn, like me, now you know the reasons. You're not bad in learning languages. You're not abnormal. You are normal. The language itself is difficult. And as we saw, it's difficult because the writing system is complex, the grammar structure is different, the vocabulary is not related to our native words, the politeness levels are too much, and the immersion is limited. So, but if you can overcome these barriers by simple steps like immersing yourself in the podcast or in watching animes in Japanese and listening to Japanese music or something like that, you can overcome these small barriers, and Japanese becomes one of the most logical and useful language to learn. It's very rewarding language, to be honest. That's why we are still sticking to it, right? Like we want to learn Japanese even though it's difficult. And don't forget that every Japanese learners go through this phase of forgetting things and constantly having to revise the words to make them stick to your head. It's very normal, and you're not alone. We are not alone. Like everyone are together in this journey, and I hope that we will reach JLPT N1 at some point of time in our life. Gambarimashou!